Right, good morning, guys. How we doing? Quick catch up from Sunday. It's obviously now Tuesday. We've let the market move as it did on Monday, and we've had some brilliant reaction from that Monday candlestick. Obviously, we had this on USD Swissy. Euro USD went and fulfilled obviously the area that we were looking at. GBP USD hasn't quite moved as much as we probably want it to, but I think there's a reason for that, and we can get into that a little bit deeper. DXY absolutely crumbled out the sky, and we're just sort of lingering at this previous low at the moment. I still think we could come a little bit lower. USD JPY still lining itself up. GBP CAD still within its little box range. Euro NZD definitely giving us the confirmation. Let's just wait for maybe another break back below. We'll catch up on that. GBP NZD nothing, and Euro GBP we did get stopped out on for 25 pips. So we're doing all right here at the moment in time. Let's concentrate on some of these US dollar crosses because I think these really should be the primary focus right now. Now don't forget that the higher timeframes are still indicating which direction we should be looking in, but that doesn't mean obviously this is a whole monthly candlestick. So although we've had the follow through here, we can certainly now actually retrace, pull back up, linger around this region of price, and then actually continue to fall later on in the month. So do not be concerned at price not completely collapsing immediately. On the daily time frame, what we can see quite clearly is that we do have this region of low. We've got this liquidity point in here, 1, 2, and 3. Now often, what's the highest probability of execution? Exactly the third point of touch. So we've got 1 rejection, 2, and now we're looking at a third. If you look at the 4-hour time frame, how I see this currently is that this probably area of a nice psychological area of 0.9906 is more of a take profit region. And we've just entered some form of shorter term long biases back to the upside. The immediate upside probably target is going to be in and around this low here. And you do have some form of 1.0020 in and around that region of price that you could be looking for USD Swissy to get back up into. I personally am not looking to buy this. Please don't think I'm looking to buy this, but I am expecting price to get up into there. So once I get back up into there, we know how we roll, especially with my style. We are looking for the golden pocket. What can we add in terms of confluence to that golden pocket? Well, if we do look at the higher time frame here as well, we could be taking the significant high, looking to attach it to that second significant swing there. And now we are looking for the third, which is all in alignment with actually this 61 pocket, and again that psychological barrier of around 1.0050. So we've got a nice 3 confluenced area there of resistance, and Fibonacci region of price and rejection. So a good area to consider here on USD Swissy. If we can get back up into here, this is certainly where I'm going to be looking to find an execution to actually ride this thing back down. So if we come back for a 4th attempt, our 4th attempt is often our highest probability of a breakout upon any form of pattern play. Okay, if you really want to look into this deeper, you could see that we could maybe have a head and shoulders formation as well. You've got the left, the head, and the right of the rejection. We're currently just testing the neckline, and like I said, we are currently testing that on a 3rd reaction. So if we do actually end up maybe pushing up and breaking on its 4th attempt, remember from a longer term perspective, what we can expect from a head and shoulders formation is taking the height and size and almost duplicating. And you see how that would take us to the very bottom of this range, which if we duplicated the height and size in here, would give us this nice price point of around 0.9550. So lots to consider here on USD Swissy. Something that I really do like, and the fact that the DXY did close so bearish and we could have some continuation, we are now looking to sell it off upon any rallies there. So USD Swissy, nicely explained there. Euro USD, really interesting currency pair right now. Essentially we are ranging. We've had 3 drives into the high, we've had 3 drives into the low. Now for me, we've got to consider that this was the last significant lower swing high point. And now that price has broken above that and technically made its new higher high, I will now be looking to continue that bias direction and find myself some form of entry. Now, of course, my favorite region is going to be that golden pocket lineup. And if I can get it in alignment with having broken this descending trend, you see this triangular formation that we formed here. We've got the high, 2, 3, and we broke on the 4th attempt. What did I say? The 4th attempt is often the highest probability of breakout. So now that we've got the structure in play, we've come and reached the boundary resistance, of which we did highlight on Sunday, saying I don't want to call anything beyond this type of a level just yet because we've got to see how it reacts. So I do believe profit taking has been taken from this level. Okay, if we can start to pull back this type of a region of price in and around 1.175 is going to be where I'm going to look to execute, and we could again have a nice little tight stop loss on this 40 pips or so, and we could be looking to run this thing up, 1 to 4 risk to reward ratio just to the next high. If we go in complete, because often when using trend lines, okay, all these little golden nuggets that you really need to be noticing down or writing down if you weren't aware of them in the past, trend lines, if you break, what you like to do is often take out the previous lower swing high points. So the fact we've taken out 0.3 in here, we've taken out 0.2 at this current moment in time. Let's get a new corrective structure and then look to take out over here and then over here as well. So Euro USD really could have some good potential. So I am looking for the retracement to then find an execution to go long again, okay? So Euro USD, USD Swissy is fairly invertly correlated in terms of what we're trying to look at in here, okay? So push up and then look to sell. Euro USD, if we can sell off, then look to buy. GBP USD, I think, is undervalued right now. I think has the most amount of potential if we do get that movement. Now, we've been battered for such a long time. Absolutely battered for such a long time, okay? Now, this is something where we've had this impulse rally here, we've had the corrective structure, we've had the secondary impulse rally here, which if we measure the length and size of these, we can see how they're roughly in and around the same length. And therefore, that leads me into thinking, if we measure the height and size of the corrective structure, that leads me directly into where we've already highlighted as our previous significant low, which now could become our new resistance for the price point, okay? We're resting just below that 1.2900, and if you look back in the past, we've had trouble around this area where we've gapped. If you look a little bit further back, we floated in and around that 129 area with some forms of lows and highs previously. So I think the pound is undervalued. We had such a strong sell-off for over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Over 2 to 3 weeks we sold off for, all right? We sold off for about 2 to 3 weeks, all the way down into this low price point down here. So the fact that we are getting some form of reversal price action here is a good indication. So we've got the whole structure as to why we're trying to buy this or look to buy this. We've got the lower low formed. We do need a lower low or a lower high structure to formulate in and around that 1.2900 level. Look at the 4-hour time frame and let's try and find some form of entry on this. What I can see here is the fact that we may have broken this little descending counter trend line in the way that we're trying to move, and what I'd much rather price to do is almost come and create that right inverted head and shoulders here and then look to rally. That would be your primary execution in and around this price point of around 1.2620. Your stops could come just below here to allow enough breathing room, but the fact that you've got this already created and the DXY is looking very, very bearish, and we're looking quite bullish on some of the other major currency crosses, that if we can made an inverted right shoulder, this thing could really take off. Now, whether that's a spike, whether that's actually consolidation and retest of the counter trend, but this is the region of price that I'm going to be looking to execute in with a nice stop, 50 to 60 pip stop, just to allow for price action to do what it needs to do, okay? Because again, the gain on this would be about 250 pips if we can get into there, something that I'm well worth waiting on, 250 pips exactly. Come into here, you're looking around a 60 pip stop, and again, you're looking at a risk reward here of 1 to 4. Now, the market in the last 2 weeks hasn't been behaving the best it's ever behaved, okay? So we've got to consider that we don't want to be over-leveraging in this market, because that's your mistake. That's not my mistake if you're over-leveraging in this market. We can't be correct all the time. Even if someone is winning at 80% of the time, they could lose 20 in a complete row, okay? So this is where that risk management factor is coming into play. There is no point trying to make £1 million in a day because you cannot do it. But what you can do is completely obliterate your account. You can completely blow your account. So do be aware of this. I saw 1 or 2 comments being like, I lost big because you told me to sell. I did exactly say that my bias was to sell that currency pair, but it's entirely up to you whether you go ahead and do that. And it's up to you to manage the risk to reward ratio and your kind of risk percentage appropriately, okay? So Euro NZD is something that I did like at the start of the week. So everything else is playing out, okay? Euro GBP was the only one. Everything else is playing out all right. Here we've got another series. This could be confirmation with a bit of a bearish engulfing. I would have liked to see the retest just slightly higher. So I'm going to sit out on this for 2 reasons. We're either going to come slightly higher, and I'm going to get an entry from a spike up here, but that would give me my 1 drive, my 2 drive, and then my 3rd lower high drive. Remember, what's our highest probability of execution? 3, exactly. So our third lower high drive would be my favored region of execution. We do currently have a nice little bearish engulfing on the 4-hour, but for me to actually confirm this, I'd want to come break back below this level of around about 1.7070. If I can come break back below that on the 4-hour, I think this will be the continuation, and then we would fully expect that to push back towards that 1.6920. I'm not going to rush into anything this week. I slightly rushed into maybe Euro GBP. And therefore I'm just going to be waiting on the 3 that I've really highlighted. USD Swissy, let's see if we can get up here to sell. Euro USD, let's see if we can get down in here to buy. GBP USD, if we do get the opportunity to make a right shoulder, even if it's on a spike, I may just put a buy limit order here with the nice 60 pip stop or so to see if we can get their rejection there. Okay, so that's the little catch up on the list in there. Gold, let's see what's going on oil and gold. Oil's still not really doing a lot. Gold has hit a big area. Gold has really hit a big area. 1325, kind of a midweek psychological boundary for the pair. Let me go and code this in. And therefore, again, from simple structure of wave play, you've made your all little high lows in here. We've broken out of this, ascending or descending flag pattern. We've rejected it with the hammer. 1, 2, 3 days of rally, and therefore we could maybe expect some form of decline on this, which would lead us into that euro slight decline as well. Maybe that will bring the US dollar back up a little bit before we reset and go again. Okay, so at the moment in time, just very simply, if I eradicated everything from the chart, we can quite clearly see that we've broken these series of lower swing highs. And if I go and highlight this, that was the last real resistance point, which has now turned into support that we may need to come back into before rallying again. And if you do take 50% of that move, I'm almost certain this lines up pretty much with 1300, if not just slightly above. And there we go. So 50% of that whole entire 3-day move would be in and around the 1320 mark or 13150. That would correlate with retesting that previous high up there. Okay, so that's my feelings on gold. If I head over to maybe any of these exotics, Euro GBP, I'm going to leave alone. It's not something that I actually usually trade. I just really liked how we were starting to consolidate in this liquidity point here. But if you do look at the key level placements that I do, or what I did go ahead and put back on here, we've come and hit 0.8900 to the absolute precision T. Okay, so if we are going to fall, it may be from this level here, which will be frustrating. But you know what, like I said, it's a lesson of why, not necessarily complaining about how I lost. It's always about why, and let's learn from that. Okay, GBP CAD is just ranging. A possible break would lead us into a directional bias. I know I saw some people trading USD CAD. USD CAD's interesting, and I think we will remain ranged. Okay, although we had this huge sell-off, which leads me to a nice bias. If I can get the right shoulder into here, that to me looks a much better trade setup. Somewhere within this region of price in here, that to me looks a much better trade setup, because then we could look for the break actually on this ascending trend line and then look for the collapse in price. So that is what I prefer to see. I'd rather look for the rally to then sell it back off around about the psychological price point of 1.3500. If we can go ahead and do that, then I think we could be in for a good amount of movement on that USD CAD. Actually, that's going to go on my primary watch list, if I'm honest, because I really like the look of that. And if oil can start to recover at any form of point, that will also increase the possibility of the Canadian dollar strengthening as well. So guys, that's a little catch up from me. I hope that's all right. We've got the setups available. If we go back to the red list in here, USD Swissy, let's see if we can get back up into the range high. Let's see if we can sell it off. Euro, let's keep an eye out for any form of retracement and retest, maybe into Wednesday and Thursday. GBP USD, we know that we're looking for maybe a inverted right header, an inverted right shoulder to then look to buy, and then obviously some of the other ones you can look back on as well. So guys, trade safe. Hope that's nice and catched up, and we will speak very soon.